Every relationship hides a story, and every story carries pain. Welcome to Cheating Stories Insights, where truth bleeds through words. The cuffs bit into my wrists before I could even set my bag down. Metal, tight, final. I had just returned from a mission I wasn't allowed to name, a place I couldn't admit existed, and yet there she stood, my wife. Eyes red, mascara smeared, a trembling hand pressed to her lips. But the tears weren't real, I could tell. Behind her, 2 officers recited rites I knew better than them. Words blurred. All I saw was her expression, half grief, half triumph. "You killed my father," she whispered, loud enough for the room to hear. The words weren't aimed at me. They were aimed at the audience. And for the first time in years, I understood what betrayal tasted like. The trial moved faster than it should have. Too fast. Evidence appeared out of nowhere. Photos, statements, a timeline so precise it felt rehearsed. I watched it all unfold from my seat, my hands bound, my face calm. But inside, I measured every inconsistency, every pause. Then came the knife in my chest. My son. He stood in front of the court, his small hands shaking, his voice barely louder than a whisper. I saw him do it. The world narrowed. Not the accusation, I'd expected that, but the way his eyes avoided mine, as if someone had taught him where not to look. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't about murder. This was about erasure. My life, rewritten, dismantled, stolen. And she was behind it. I waited. I listened. I let them paint me into a monster, all while building the picture beneath the picture. Phone logs, bank transfers, conversations she thought were private. I had access to more than she imagined. Every mission I ever survived taught me patience, to wait until the prey believed the predator was cornered. She paraded her grief, clutching tissues, whispering prayers. My brother-in-law testified, his voice cracking at the rehearsed places. Even her mother wiped her eyes, gasping at every word. The performance was flawless. Almost. But perfection is the most fragile lie of all, and I had the cracks in my pocket. The judge leaned forward, his voice heavy. "Do you have any final words before sentencing?" Final words. The phrase almost made me smile. I slid the sealed envelope across the table. Not hurried, not desperate, calm, precise. The bailiff carried it to him. He broke the seal. Eyes scanned the contents and froze. Silence rippled through the courtroom. He looked up at me, his face drained of authority, his hand trembling. 2 words fell from his lips, colder than any verdict. "Lock the doors." Inside the envelope were threads she never expected me to weave together. Surveillance footage, dates and times cross-referenced with my deployments. Proof I wasn't even in the country when her father died. Bank transfers from her account to a name she tried to bury. A hired man, the real trigger puller. And then the photographs. My wife, in the arms of the man who pulled the trigger. Her smile wide, unburdened, her betrayal complete. The judge laid the photos on the bench. The room shifted. Gasps, murmurs. The officers by the door straightened, unsure who the criminal really was anymore. My wife's mask shattered. She lunged forward, stammering excuses, her voice shrill. He planted this. He's dangerous." The judge silenced her with a look. Her tears, finally real, streaked her face. And in that moment, I did not feel rage. I felt nothing. The coldest revenge is truth exposed under light. I didn't shout, didn't gloat. I simply watched her unravel in front of everyone she'd fooled. My son, frozen in the witness stand, looked between us, confusion drowning his young eyes. He knew now. He saw who'd placed words in his mouth. She tried to reach for him. He pulled back. The distance was small, but it was everything. The bailiff approached her. Handcuffs replaced tissues. This time, real metal for real crimes. She screamed my name as if I'd stolen her world. But she had given me no world to begin with. Afterward, when the doors finally opened and the courtroom spilled into whispers, I remained seated, free, but not whole. The truth had cleared my name, but it hadn't restored what she destroyed. The image of my son testifying against me would never leave my mind. Still, I'd won. Not through rage, not through force, through silence, through patience. I walked past her as they led her away, her wrists bound like mine had been. Our eyes met. Hers were wild, desperate. Mine were calm, final. "You underestimated me," I said quietly. Her face broke. That was enough. Closure isn't forgiveness, it's clarity. I returned to an empty house, stripped of the illusions I once called family. The walls echoed with absence, but they no longer suffocated me. My son would one day learn the full truth. Until then, all I could give him was distance from her poison. As for her, her name would rot in court documents, her face remembered not as a victim, but as the architect of her own undoing. I poured myself a glass of water, sat in the silence, let it breathe. The cuffs were gone, the lies were gone, and so was I. Because sometimes survival isn't staying alive, it's walking away, colder, sharper, untouchable.